So I'm going to use something called qwiklabs here. And in particular, qwiklabs is an interesting platform because it's available to many students. If you're a student at a university, you can actually go to, let's actually go here, say Google Cloud Education. If you go here as a student, you can actually go here and go for training and benefits, and you can actually ask for credits right here on their platform. So it would be edu.google.com, programs, students, training benefits. You can click claim credits, and any student can get 200 qwiklab credits. So this is a very good resource to test out AutoML systems. And so I've already done that, and so I can just sign into my account and I'll log in. And once I'm logged in here, the thing that I'm going to look at is I'm going to just do a search for AutoML like this. And this particular resource is called Classify Images of Clouds in the Cloud. So this is actually actual clouds, but we're going to be using their cloud-based system. And so this one, Classify Images of Clouds with AutoML Vision, we can select it. And what's useful about the way this works is that you first start the lab, and once you start the lab, it'll, you have to do their CAPTCHA, which I think I've got the bridges. There we go. And then it'll ask you to launch with credit. So again, you can get this for free as a student, and you can click this and we'll launch this. And so it takes about maybe, I would say 30 seconds to a minute to start the Google qwiklabs AutoML Vision system. And if we scroll this over like this, what we can do is actually see simultaneously the system, and then also log into it at the same time. So a lot of times what I will do is I will use this as like a guide where it'll go through step by step and show me all the different things that I need to do, and then I can have another tab next to it that actually allows me to see what's happening. And so probably what I can do here is I will stop for a second and make a slightly different share that shows a portion of the screen. There we go, perfect, yeah. And then what I can do here is just launch another terminal or another browser like this. And probably something like this would be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and say open this, use another account. Actually, I can just drag this over like that. There we go. There we go. And so the way you start with this is you would use their username, so copy it, paste it in, and then for password, same thing, copy this, paste it in. And I would say don't save the password because these are all ephemeral. All of these accounts are temporary. And then once you log into this, what's great about it is you get a real Google account. So this Google account has all of the resources that a regular account would have. Maybe make this a little bit smaller like this. And so you can go through here and basically, I like to toggle back and forth where the instructions are on the left and then the actual account is right here on the right. And so if I scroll down here, we can just kind of read through a little bit, make this a little bit bigger, about right there. That's about, yeah. So I'll have to kind of have them overlaid on top of each other. So AutoML Vision helps developers with limited ML expertise train models. I would say even beyond this though, it's good for doing rapid prototyping. And so the way this will work is you upload images to the UI, and this will be immediately available on the Google Cloud. And so in this particular lab, what we're going to do is we're going to upload a labeled data set to cloud storage, and then actually put a CSV file that has the actual labels. So why this is useful is that this workflow that we'll go through would be exactly how you would do it yourself with your own, let's say, free tier account from Google Cloud. And then what we'll do is we'll train a model with AutoML vision and then evaluate the accuracy, and then we'll generate the prediction. So first thing is we went through and we logged into qwiklabs, right? So we can kind of scroll down. The next thing is that now that we're logged in, we want to set up the AutoML vision service. We need to enable it. So I'm going to go on the left here to APIs and services. And then I'm going to do a search. Let's see. We want to look in the search bar, look for Cloud AutoML. So I'll go ahead and put this in to the search bar, Cloud AutoML. There we go, API. And then we can enable it. There we go. So this enables this account to train high quality custom machine learning models with minimum effort. There we go. Perfect. Great. And then if we scroll down, we can say check my progress. Perfect. And then from here, we can activate Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is a virtual machine that's loaded with development. Here we go. If we click on activate Cloud Shell, we can say continue. There we go, provisioning your Google Cloud Shell account. And what's nice about Cloud Shell, let's make it a little bit bigger, is that the Cloud Shell itself can execute everything that the console can do. And so it's a very powerful way to manipulate things inside of a cloud platform. So all cloud platforms have a Cloud Shell. So Google Cloud has a Cloud Shell, AWS Cloud has a Cloud Shell, Azure has a Cloud Shell. I haven't used Ali Cloud in a while, but I'm pretty sure they have a Cloud Shell. And the reason for this is that the terminal is one of the most effective ways to run commands. It's even faster than the console in many situations. So we activated it, and then what we can do is when we want to copy a command, you can go to this icon here, copy it, and then paste it in. And all it does is say that it shows us which account we're running in, and we see that this is the student account. And then the next thing that we can do is we can list what project we're in. We again can just paste this in, and it should say that it's this qwiklabs project, which again matches this ID, right? So we can verify we're in the right account. And the next thing that we can do is we can actually export an environmental variable in Bash. And so notice that this command export, it creates a variable called project ID, and this just grabs the project ID from the terminal. So if we go through here, I'm going to use Control L, which brings me to the top of the terminal. And if I type in export project ID, and then do like a pound, I'm sorry, not a pound, a $, this creates a variable from an existing variable. So whenever you use the $, it refers to a Bash variable. So if I do this, now if I type in basically echo $ project ID like this, you can see that it grabs that as the variable. So this is a very common thing as well to do with cloud terminals, is that you assign the results to a variable, and then that variable you can actually go through and use it in scripts or other commands. And so this is a really powerful technique to use with Cloud Shell environments. The next thing is we'll also export the username as well. So we can do this and we're going to replace the username with the lab's username though. So we will say, in this case, export this. Let's throw this in there, and then let's just take this out, and we can just grab this and we can paste it in like that. There we go. Perfect. And then what this will do is this command will give the AutoML system the permissions to do things, right? So we're going to basically say, look, I want the Cloud Shell to be able to do these complex commands. And if we go through here, we should be able to do that. And notice what it did is it went through and it enabled this Cloud Shell account to now interact with the AutoML system for the command line. And now the next thing that we'll do is we'll make a bucket using this command, which is, it's called gsutil. And so gsutil stands for Google storage utility. And so it allows you to create things without needing to, again, click the buttons to create some storage resources. I can just run this command, and notice that I use those variables. So I use that project ID variable. I also can then basically create a bucket that has my project ID in it because I'm using the variable. So if I copy this, I'm going to clear the screen here, just paste it in. You can see gsutil. MB stands for make bucket, and then we can go through here and run this command, and then it's actually creating it in the central region. And so it created this particular bucket, just like this. And then you can actually see it if you go to the navigation menu here, and we click over here, and we go down to storage, cloud storage, and notice that if you select it, that we can see that's the actual bucket that we just created. And so a bucket for cloud storage is a location that can store essentially infinite data. So you can just put almost more storage than you could possibly, think about into it, but it's object level storage. So each file, it's really all or nothing. So you either have to pull it out and manipulate it and then put it back in again, or before you put it into the bucket, it needs to be the shape that you need, or the data that you need. So it's not good at like making incremental changes, but it's good at like all or nothing changes. And so the next thing that we can do is we can scroll down here and we can say upload training images to the cloud, copy this, and then go through here and say export bucket. There we go. And then if we type this gsutil command line for the storage, we can copy and we can paste this. So gsutil, go through here, copy these images. So what these images are, these will be the images of the clouds that will train. And so they're already available in the Google Cloud Platform. And we're going to copy those into the bucket that we just created, which again, remember this variable here was something we defined right here, right? Which is this is exporting the bucket variable and takes the bucket that we just created. So there we go. And this will take a second, right? So you can see it's copying all those images into that location. And then when we've done it, you can actually go back to the browser and you should see there's a bunch of new things there. So if we refresh, we go here, look, there we go. So we see there's all these clouds. So this, I think, again, shows why the terminal for cloud computing is really the most powerful way to do things, because of how much you can accomplish versus if you were going to put these one by one, right, it would be very complicated. And take a long time. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to create a training data set by actually creating a CSV file that has a label associated with it that is the location in the Google Cloud, right? So again, if we go back to this bucket, right, you can see there's three kinds of clouds. There's Cirrus, Cumulus, Nimbus, and Cumulus. And inside, there's each of these are the the different kinds of clouds. In fact, you can even click on it and it will even show you a preview, right? You can see like this is a cloud, right? And so what we need to do though is in order to use the AutoML system, we need to have all of the labels somewhere, right? Because none of this is labeled, right? They're just images. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this is the labeled data, and we're going to copy it locally like this. GSUtil CP will copy it. In fact, we can even take a look at what this looks like. If I type in the word head, this is a Unix command that will show me the first few rows of the file. Head data.csv. Look, we can see that it has the name of the image and the proper label, but that the actual bucket directory itself is actually needs to be swapped, right? So this actually needs to be swapped with something new. So if we copy this and we paste it, what the sed command does is it takes that bucket variable and it just replaces it, right? So the sed command is good for basically doing search and replace, essentially. And so now if I type in that, I do the up arrow and I do the head, right now we see that it's swapped with our bucket name inside. So this is really the most important step in a way, is that there's a file that has the path to where the image lives and then what the label is for the image. The next thing that we'll do is we will upload this file to Google Cloud Storage, right? Because this is just in the shell. And so we'll just copy this and then we'll paste it, and then the gsutil copy command will just copy this upside. And then if I go back to this bucket, there we go, right? You can see that this is where the file lives. Now in a way, this is the easy part, is that we can navigate back to the AutoML Vision tab and we can create a new data set. And so let's go ahead and do that. So we'll go through here and we'll find, I think we can just search for it. That's probably easier. Let's go here and let's just type in AutoML. And let's see, we want to go, let's go back to, I think I can scroll to it down here. It is under Vision. There we go. It's under Vision here, and it's called Image Classification. And this was actually under, they changed this a little bit where you have to scroll all the way to the bottom, and it's under Artificial Intelligence. And then as you scroll down to the bottom, it's the last one. So it's a little bit, I'm going to push pin, which will make it easier to find. But basically, yeah, we click on Vision, and then we click on Image Classification. There's a couple different ways that you can use their system. One is Image Classification, which will train a custom model to classify images and then allow us to deploy to the edge, which is what we want to do. Or there's Object Detection, which will train a custom model to detect objects in an image. Or there's the Vision API, which would be using pre-trained models. But we're gonna start with this, which is Image Classification. There we go. And from here, what we can do is we can just say, which is strange that it's very interesting that I don't know why that did that. It was referring to the wrong account. So let's see if that, I might need to log out of my other account. I was like, that's strange. So let's click one more time here and refresh this. Let's double check student password. Okay, so we're back in here. It must have gotten confused for a second with another of my accounts. But basically, we want to create a new data set right here. So we'll click on New Data Set. And notice that there's three different options. There's single label classification, multi-label classification, and then object detection. In the case of what we're doing, we only care about, we have one label, right? What's the name of the cloud? If it was multi-label, that would be, let's say you had many different animals in a picture, right? You had cats, dogs, and birds, and so you would classify all of them simultaneously. In this case, we want to do the simple one, and I think what we can say here for the data set, we'll just call it clouds, like this. So we'll click on this, and then create a data set. And then notice now all of the hard work that we did earlier is available because we can just select the CSV file that's in cloud storage. And so again, we can just scroll down here. It says select a CSV file and add your name. So this is the file that we selected. So I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to click browse, which will allow me to browse and find it. And there's only one bucket, so it's pretty easy to find. We select this, and then we click on this data.csv file, and we say select, and then we go to continue, and then this gets us into the training mechanism. Now this will take, let's double check here that worked. Let's see here. Yeah, so basically once you do that, we'll have to wait for a second. This doesn't take that long. I think it'll take maybe like 5 minutes. Let's just double check here. So yeah, it will take 2 to 5 minutes for the images to import. So basically what's happening is that this applied or AutoML system is going into the cloud storage, and it's grabbing the images and pulling them into the system so that it can keep track of them. So later we can then do the automatic machine learning. And I'll also just open up this Cloud Shell again as well. There we go. So we can see that this was recovered. So again, we'll just kind of hang out for a second and wait for this to upload. Now, the other thing we can also look at is that once it's uploaded, what's nice about it is that this has a very good interface for you to like actually inspect the images. So that's another reason why, as a rapid prototyping tool, the AutoML Vision type system can really be powerful, because again, you can check out the feasibility of the problem and not only focus on, let's say, the just the prediction accuracy, because many times the problem is that the approach you're using is okay, but what if your data is a problem? So what if you have data that needs to be cleaned up? Well, if you're using an approach like this, you could actually visually inspect all of the data and maybe change it or focus on the thing that's actually going to give you the most return for your investment versus only focusing on the code. I think this is what many people are really understanding about the ML ops, is that a lot of times the problem is not the machine learning approach, it's actually the data that's the problem. And so tools like this can really help you focus on those issues. So again, if we scroll through here and we let this and say running importing images, there we go. So we'll just let this kind of hang out for a second. It won't take too long. So yeah, maybe we can, anyone have questions about what we've done so far? Actually, maybe one question is, is anyone doing the same thing? Are you following it along? Has anyone been able to open up qwiklabs? No? Yeah, as I mentioned, for most students, it's pretty easy to get access to the qwiklabs. I think it's one of the best ways to learn cloud computing, because the fact that they have so many different labs available for you, This is just one of, I think, maybe 1,000 labs or something like this. And we can even, while this thing is importing, the other thing that we can do is we can toggle between different interfaces. So we can even look at other parts of the system. We can go to, let's say, the bucket again, which was cloud storage. Here we go. We can go here and then click on this. And then from here, what would be interesting is that we could even maybe do, before it fully uploads everything here, let's refresh, is that we could even look at like maybe some of the images and look at more metadata about it. So for example, these images right now don't have names associated with them. So that's one thing that's kind of hard without having the labeled file, the data file that kind of says what each one is. If you were working on this project without that metadata, it would be very difficult. But there are some things you can look at before you do the training. Like, for example, that there's a very different number of size of files here. You can see that some are 3 megabytes, some are only 106 kilobytes. And then also you can see when the last modification was, and then also when the creation was. So this was all created, recently. And you also can even look at a larger quantity. So we see actually this, I think there's only, is it 100 or 50 images here that we have. And you can even do filters as well. So you can do .jpeg or JPEG. Yeah, so if you want to just look for filter prefix, sort and limit filtering. Oh no, it's disabled. Limited filter and disable sorting. So if we did by name or type, we could do JPG. There we go. And it, although I'm not sure why that's not showing up here. But anyway, in theory, you should be able to do some filtering and do all kinds of fun stuff while you're waiting for this thing to upload. And so we'll just check on it again. Okay, there we go. So things are back here, and you can see this as there's a total of 60 images, and these were the labeling. And then if we look at it, we can actually visually inspect it, which I think is one of the most powerful features of here, is that I can actually go through here and even look at that there's 20 images of each. Right, there's 20 cirrus, 20 cumulus nimbus, 20 cumulus, and I can even filter. If I select this, it'll only show me those images, and then I can go through and search for them. Same as if I look for cumulus nimbus, right, I can only find those. So this is where, as a data scientist, maybe this is where you would go through and make sure that the data is high quality enough. And this could really identify problems before you even get started, because if you have bad data, why train the model on a bunch of bad data, right? Like, instead, maybe you would select one like this and you could even delete it, right? You could just say, hey, I don't want to train this, right? Because this has got a problem. Let's get rid of these. And also it'll show you which ones are labeled and which ones are unlabeled as well. So very, very powerful feature here. And even you could, in theory, even from this interface, you could actually add new labels as well. So I think this is the beginning of probably more and more advanced things that they'll offer. But for now, these are the capabilities. So the next step would be, after we go through and we inspect it. So again, they say the same thing I just said, which is if you're building a production model, you would want to look at the data, and you probably want at least 100 images. Because this is a demo and we want to train the model quickly, what we'll do is only do 20 images. And so what we can do here is train the model. So in order to do that, we're going to click the train tab and click start training. So we can go to here, train, and look, it says that there'll be 16 train images, 2 validation images, and 2 test images. We'll just click this button which says start training. And then now notice that there's a couple different ways that we could train this model. One, and this is actually very important for building edge-based computer vision projects, is that if you were going to then later put this onto a Coral device like this thing, you must select edge like this, because this is actually designed to run that model. And so you would go through here and click download your model for offline use, and we would select continue. And then there's 3 options here. The best trade-off, which would mean that it doesn't make it too big, but okay, so basically optimized model for higher accuracy, best trade-off, or faster prediction. So again, the difference here would be that if you don't care about the speed that it makes a prediction, let's say you're building something that doesn't need real-time capabilities, like it only does it, I don't know, slowly, then higher accuracy would be the way to go. But let's say that you were building something that was reading license plates, maybe that were coming across a bridge. Well, maybe you would need the faster prediction, and so you would select it. Let's just pick this one for now, and then I click on continue, and then this will be a budget for the maximum node hours to spend training the model. It says we recommend using 3 for your data set. However, you can train for as little as 1. And notice that in addition to Google qwiklabs, that you also can, just the free tier as well, you can actually run AutoML for free. So you don't even need to use qwiklabs. You can just do this yourself for free. So let's look at the instructions. They said they want to do 8. So, okay, sure, let's do 8 hours. Let's select this and we'll click start training. And then it's going to go through and this will train the model. And I believe they say that it will take about 25 to 30 minutes to complete. So what we can do is we'll see actually how long this will take to train.